next news. Breaking news from the White House.
James Comey just crossed the line from media talking point to defendant. The former FBI director has now officially surrendered, appeared in court, and heard a judge spell out each charge he faces could bring real prison time. And President Trump, not mincing words, calling him exactly what millions of Americans have believed for years, a crooked cop. But here's where this gets even bigger. Prosecutors are treating that infamous 8647 post as serious. Trump allies are warning this case may be just the opening move, so the question tonight is simple. Is Comey finally being held accountable, and who is next? Now this matters because if a former FBI chief can flirt with a threat against a sitting president and then expect the media to laugh it off as beach art nonsense, then equal justice is dead. The law cannot mean one thing for Trump supporters and another thing for the permanent Washington class. That's exactly why this case is bigger than James Comey. It's a test of whether the Trump administration will actually restore one standard of justice after years of weaponization by the former Biden administration and the old deep state machine. Now look at the timeline. Yesterday, indictment. Today, court appearance. A judge tells Comey each charge carries up to 5 years. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche saying it plain, you cannot threaten the President of the United States. President Trump says 86 a mob term. And now the same establishment voices that shrugged through Russiagate are suddenly panicking, claiming this is an all-out overreaction. No, it's called accountability. And if this justice system is finally moving on Comey, Americans are right to ask whether Russiagate itself is about to come roaring back into focus. And while Washington finally starts cleaning house, President Trump's also securing the economic foundations that keep America strong. This breaking news from the White House, they just announced over $30 billion to secure America's critical mineral supply chains and named a specific Alaskan project as a key strategic asset for U.S. mineral independence. Now, I've been to the Vizsla copper drilling site, the one in Canada. I've held it, the core samples, with my own hands. And what's happening right now in Alaska is bigger than most people realize. See, President Trump just unveiled Project Vault, a $12 billion strategic mineral reserve designed to stockpile essential resources and keep America from depending on hostile foreign powers. See, that puts a spotlight on Vizsla copper. Now pay attention because it's trading in the United States under VCUFF and in Canada as VCU.V. It's on your screen there. If you want to understand why this matters right now, check the exclusive briefing. It's only for Next News viewers. It's linked below, and see why smart investors are paying very close attention before the crowd catches on. Now let's get back to the Comey case, because the deeper you look, the less this resembles a joke and the more it looks like a pattern. See, the corporate press wants you fixated on seashells because seashells sound silly. Context destroys that spin. You see, Comey's 8647 post did not appear in a vacuum. It was reportedly placed right between promotional posts tied to his book. A book description about naming enemies, hinting that something should be done, and followers carrying it out. In other words, the defense is trying to isolate one image while prosecutors can show intent, sequencing, and motive. And once you see that, the next question gets very uncomfortable for the old regime. Alina Habba decided to enter into the hen house with the clucks on The View today, and she leaves the rabid hosts of The View bitterly stunned after teasing more Russiagate indictments are on the way.
Why should anyone believe this pattern of targeting Trump's enemies is about justice and not revenge?
If you think that the Russian collusion hoax, if you think that the things that we've now seen evidence of in this Department of Justice aren't real, I'd just tell you to sit tight, because things are coming. Because what they did was weaponized. I don't want to hear about weaponization, because the reason you all know who I am is because of weaponization. I sat through targeting, people saying we're going to get Trump, and then a Hillary Clinton appointed judge sanctioned me for suing Hillary Clinton. By the way, I'm proud of that. Well, I'm proud of what I did.
Actually,
because it was the right thing to do.
Let me get Alyssa in here. Let me get Alyssa.
It was the right thing to do. She says Russiagate is coming, even more accountability. The next piece may show Comey's trouble isn't just criminal. Viva Frey points to the indictment's forfeiture language, meaning the stunt could hit his wallet. Interesting element of the Comey indictment is the forfeiture notice. Many of us also suspected at the time it was a cheap stunt to sell his book. Well, it might cost him. He highlights this specific section, the forfeiture notice. Defendant shall forfeit to the United States pursuant to 18 U.S.C. 981A1C, is made applicable by 28 U.S.C. 2461C, any property, real or personal, which constitutes or is derived from proceeds traceable to the said offense. Oh, so it's not just legal theory anymore. George Papadopoulos cutting right to it with the headline, "Every swamp defender dreaded, James Comey is now under arrest." So it's lighting up social media fast. And of course, enter the Babylon Bee. James Comey produces letters signed by 51 former intelligence officials saying he's totally innocent. You gotta love that. It lands because the charges are real. Now Paul Zapula zeroes in on what the judge told Comey in court. The Virginia court appearance, each charge against him carries up to 5 years in prison. Well, that's nearly enough. At least that would be some accountability for the traitor to America. Do you think Comey will actually do any jail time? Well, he's asking questions a lot of us are asking. Fox brings the straight courtroom update. Comey makes court appearance as judge informs him each charge carries up to 5 years in prison. Trump, though, in the Oval today, not backing off, tells reporters exactly what 86 means and calls Comey what he is.
This morning, we were talking about how busy you were this morning. James Comey was in court. He self-surrendered. He's now been charged a second time, this time over a social media post with seashells that said 8647. Do you really think that he was endangering your life or threatening your life with that?
Well, I like how she framed it. He what did she say? He self-surrendered. Like, why wouldn't you say he turned himself in? Because, oh, I know why. Because that would make him sound like a criminal. That's a term that is most commonly used, right? He turned himself in. That's exactly what he did. He self-surrendered.
This morning, we were talking about how busy you were this morning. James Comey was in court. He self-surrendered. He's now been charged a second time, this time over a social media post with seashells that said 8647. Do you really think that he was endangering your life or threatening your life with that?
Well, if anybody knows anything about crime, they know 86. You know what 86? It's a mob term for kill 'em. You know, you ever see the movies? 86 'em. The mobster says to one of his wonderful associates, 86 'em. That means kill 'em. It's, I think of it as a mob term. I don't know. People think of it as something having to do with disappearing, but the mob uses that term to say when they want to kill somebody, they say 86, the son of a gun. I'm trying to keep the language nice and clear. They don't use that term, son of a gun. They use another term. But that's a mob term for kill 'em. Yeah.
But do you really think your life was in danger?
Probably. I don't know. You know, based on what I'm seeing out there, yeah, the people like Comey have created tremendous danger, I think, for politicians and others. Comey is a dirty cop. He's a very dirty cop. He cheated on the elections. He tried to help Hillary Clinton, as you know. He dismissed a lot of things that he should have proceeded with. I wasn't involved, but he should have proceeded with. No, he's a dirty cop. He's a crooked man, yeah.
Mr. President, you just...
Do you think your life was in danger? Well, let me think about that. Last weekend, they just tried to kill me, right? And the alleged assassin was on a steady diet of language like 8647. Okay? Caitlin, with all due respect, try harder. Trump says it wasn't a joke, it wasn't harmless, but the usual media defenders are already running cover. Geraldo Rivera, the Comey indictment is a bullshit overreaction to a seashell caper. Zero chance of conviction, silly waste of satire. Geraldo shrugging it off. The Justice Department says it's nonsense. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche says why threatening the president is a serious federal case.
If anybody in this country thinks, especially what happened over the past couple years with respect to President Trump, that it is okay for anybody to threaten the President of the United States, that it is okay to threaten the President of the United States and then have the media or others say, well, that's not serious, then we have a bigger problem than I even imagined in this country. Of course it's serious when you threaten the President of the United States, and anybody that tries to put forward some narrative that this is just about seashells or something to the contrary is missing the point. You cannot threaten the President of the United States. That's not my decision. That's Congress's decision in a law that they passed. And so, yes, of course this is a serious case.
Oh, man, that picture, the video of Comey going up and kissing Trump. Every single time I see it, the Judas kiss. Grand jury sitting in Eastern District of North Carolina returned the indictment against Comey on 2 counts, knowingly and willfully making a threat to take the life of and to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States. So Blanche saying it clear. The law is clear. Trump said this some time ago on X. I was right about Comey, crooked cop. Now, Viva Frey says anyone still pretending Comey's post was innocent is ignoring the context Comey himself posted right after it. It's amazing, he writes. People just pontificating out of ignorance. James Comey literally, specifically said what he was doing literally in his next Instagram post. So he posted 8647 sandwiched between them of him reading a book and a post describing what his book was about, calling out his enemies and suggesting something should be done to them. So that's the full context that the media is clearly leaving out. The context matters because it's no longer just pundit chatter. Nick Sorter points to CNN's own reporting that Comey is under arrest, headed to face felony charges, surrendered himself at the federal courthouse.
Well, Comey is in the courtroom, and the hearing is starting now, the very first appearance of this former FBI director accused of threatening the president's life with that post on Instagram a year ago with seashells in the sand. This is the first hearing that will happen in this courthouse, the Eastern District of Virginia, but this is a case that's charged in North Carolina because that's where that beach photo was taken. This first appearance, Comey now being under arrest in the courtroom. He's going to be before a
The same reporter from yesterday still having a meltdown. Comey now officially in court. Plenty of Trump world voices say it doesn't go far enough. Kyle Becker. What I really want Comey charged with is election interference related to Russia hoax and the Clinton email investigation. Jack Posobiec, the way you know the indictment is tied to Comey's political assassination book, as the second part of the indictment refers to proceeds derived from the offense that he must forfeit. Comey's act was an intentional incitement as part of his book launch strategy. And then we have this from Pamela Hensley. When Comey posted his shell threat, he came out with his new book, FDR Drive, which is about using coded messages to incite violence while claiming innocence. He literally wrote the book on the tactic. He knew exactly what he was doing. Viva Frey, going deeper. Too many people are either ignorant of the facts or being obtuse as it relates to 8647 Instagram post. It was not a one-off post, faulty premise, factually incorrect. So everyone comparing it to Jack Posobiec's 2022 tweet of 8646 is not comparing comparables. Also, not an irrelevant factor, Jack is not the former director of the FBI. Posobiec's tweet was stupid, and I would expect to be investigated, possibly charged if I ever post anything so stupid. That says now back to it not being a one-off, possibly ambiguous tweet. People are either unaware of or ignoring the context. It was not one-off. It was actually the second in a series of 3 posts, all of which were connected, self-referential, and clearly and deliberately so. Post 1, Comey at the beach, reading his new book, FDR Drive. Post 2, 8647 in shells. Post 3, the summary of his new book, which he is reading in Post 1. And the summary reads like this. Garcia believes Buchanan went far beyond the protection of the First Amendment when he singled out his enemies by name and suggested something should be done about them. His fans have obliged killing or grievously injuring some of his foes. Comey is telling you exactly what he's doing. Reading his book, signaling out his enemies by name and as close as he can get, 47 for Trump, suggesting something should be done about them, 86 for killing or eliminate, and his fans have obliged from his book description that he posted. All of the enemies are there to eliminate any ambiguity as to what common meant. Sandwiching his 8647 in shells in between a picture of him reading his book and a summary of his book, which has to do with calling out enemies by name, suggesting something should be done to them, and his fans obliging. The indictment is as bare bones as it can possibly get. I don't know why. If I were drafting it, I would have included these details, but according to some American attorneys, the indictment needs not include every single allegation in it, just the essential. And this indictment should have been brought last year. I cannot possibly fathom why it took 11 months to investigate. Svetlana Lakava, a full declassified Susan Rice email shows that Obama and Comey agreed to proceed by the book regarding the transition to the Trump administration. Obama ordered the FBI to conceal the details of the Russiagate investigation from the incoming national security advisor because they were framing him as Trump admin contact for Russian intelligence. So from the declassified Russiagate trail to today's courtroom drama, conservatives online are exactly not showing sympathy. Here's a meme. You might want to cover your ears if you're sensitive to language.
Hi guys, James Comey here. I haven't been arrested yet. I'm just trying to get used to the idea of being in jail. Right now I'm practicing my mugshot face, and maybe later on I'll be trying out different sized cucumbers up my ass, just in case they put me in a cell with like a Tyrone or a Big Mike or something like that. Basically, I know I'm fucked. I'm just trying to make it less painful.
You gotta love AI, man. That's my AI disclaimer, by the way. Yes, that was done with AI. That was not actually James Comey. Now, here's the part the establishment really does not want to discuss. This may not be about an Instagram post at all. It may be the legal doorway into the entire Comey record. Alina Habba went on The View and told them to sit tight because things are coming. That wasn't random. Add the forfeiture language in the indictment, the book promotion angle, and renewed attention on declassified material showing how the Obama-Comey operation handled the Trump transition, and the picture changes very fast. It starts to look less like a standalone case and more like pressure on a central player in the Russia hoax. If Comey's exposed here, Americans may finally get the accountability that they were denied for nearly a decade. So James Comey turned himself in. A judge told him the prison exposure is real. President Trump called it exactly right, and the same people who sold the Russia collusion lie to the country are once again begging you not to trust your own eyes. Don't buy it. A former FBI director is not above the law, and threatening the President of the United States is not satire because friendly pundits say so. This is why America First leadership matters. The Trump administration is restoring consequences, restoring order, and restoring the idea that power does not equal immunity. If this is the beginning, not the end, then the people who weaponized government against Trump may finally face justice. So answer yes or no. Do you think Comey will actually do jail time? Drop your answer in the comments and share this report everywhere. Subscribe if you're done with the regime media spin. If you want to ensure you get those notifications YouTube never sends, text raw feed to 844-840-4963. That's my secret phone number just for you. So the algorithm can't bury us. And check out the Next News merch shelf below this video. Stay loud, stay free, and keep fighting for the truth.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.